I don't think it would be a good idea to explain too many things about the film. It's difficult to go ahead from it because you never know what's going to happen. And actually, most of the attention is sustained on the hunger of knowing. Every time you think you step on firm ground, you find out that it breaks under your feet, and you have to reevaluate the situation again. That's actually what scripts are about. People tend to think that script writing is about finding a good story or good characters, and it actually is, but it's mostly about structure, about finding a way of making all pieces work together, going to a certain goal in the most effective way. So yeah, that's the hard part, and actually you have to find out a way of doing out so people don't notice it. So everything works at the other side of the curtain, but nobody sees it. If you get it, then you succeed. I also wonder, how did I get to them? You never know. It was mostly the script. I mean that you try not to limitate yourself because life tends to do it on its own, so you don't need to be a help for that. If you have a long list, you can start in number 7, but it's better that you start in number 1. Of course, he's going to tell you no. In this case, it was like writing a letter to Santa Claus. You want an electric train, and you know they are going to bring you socks, but in this case, we got the electric train. They simply responded so strongly to the script. They wanted to do those characters and read those lines, and I still wonder why. The best and worst thing of shooting uses to be the same, which is shooting itself. Shoot is like going to war, almost literally. It's suffering and suffering and suffering, and you have to solve 1,000 problems every day. So there's no much pleasure on shooting. On the other hand, the good part is exactly the same, that you have somehow to find gold in the middle of all that chaos. When you get it, you are extremely exhausted, but it's also very rewarding. It's never about breaking rules. That's not your goal. You don't wake up in the morning deciding what rules you want to break that day. You simply have a goal. You want to get something. You want to do something in a very particular, specific way, and you try to find a way that make it possible without asking for permission, I guess. But it's not about breaking rules because you simply enjoy doing that. It's never about the where, but about the how. My obsession is trying to work with creative control. And I would literally work in any corner of the world as far as I could work this way. Probably the reason why I make films is precisely because they are challenges, in a way. I mean that, in a way, I just feel attracted for things that scare me. If you think you have total control of what you are going to do, probably you are not doing the right thing. I need to be a little bit scared, and I need to feel that there are still a lot of things to learn. That's the only thing of trespassing certain limits and trying to grow up in the knowledge of whatever you are trying to do. In the case of thrillers, time uses to be one character more. So you always need a watch close to your character. because there's this sense of countdown with the watch ticking, and there's always a deadline. And when deadline happens, things used to explode in a metaphoric or even in a real way. So yeah, I've always also been obsessed with time, so I guess that this is the perfect combination. Yeah, you have to consider all those things when you do a film. Actually, when I see images of myself on the making of the day, I always see me watching my watch constantly. Is one of the things that make me suffer more, actually, because you have a very specific deadline. You have to end at 8. You have to get all the shots. You are not going to be able to go back there. So whatever you get is what you are going to have on the editing room. So yeah, you have to be very precise with that, I can tell you. Well, being a friend of Heuer is an amazing pleasure. I feel very close to many of their values. I guess this obsession with detail, this very close attention to detail. I like to imagine all these workers working literally thousands of hours on one only watch, doing things that people is not going to notice and that only them care about. I feel a little bit the same. Many times I'm so obsessed with a certain detail that nobody cares about, and everybody tells you, go ahead, simply do another thing. But you have to know that only the adding of very specific small details is what can bring you something close to excellence. It's difficult to try to describe time, and it's actually pretty crazy to try to measure it in an objective way, since it's mostly psychological in a way and so flexible. So this thing of trying to measure it is really fascinating, because it's like trying to measure the unmeasurable. Yeah, I remember it very well, actually. My father gave it to me as a present, and it was a pocket watch with the engrave of old train on the lid. And I kept it so close with me because I thought it was a treasure, and actually I remember that the first days I even slept with it. I would describe the Heuer watches as perfect time machines compressed in a very small piece of detail and perfection. I actually love many of them. I especially liked Monaco, especially the chronograph. And now I have a Carrera, caliber 16. Actually, I'm obsessed with being on time because I really respect time. It's a kind of money. Actually, it's more valuable than money. You never have much. So I really respect other people's time. And I think that being on time has to do with respect for them. So yeah, I really try to always be on time. No, I wish it was. I wish it was more methodic, but no, I simply work, and I used to find myself in the middle of the night, still working and still in time tonight. So I should be more methodic, but I just can't. No, I don't feel rebel at all. I don't think that whoever is really rebel, I don't know whom, I'm pretty sure that he doesn't feel this way either, because it shouldn't be a kind of attitude. I simply try to know in a clear way what I want from things, from whatever it is, and try to find a way to get there without asking for permission, I guess. It's just about doing whatever you want to do, no matter what other things about it. And if you're doing something that other people is not doing, that's okay. And if other people is trying to do the same thing, that's okay too. It's about trying to find your way, not about trying to compete against anybody. I guess real challenges are never possible to be completely achieved, and they should work like a carrot in a way, trying to make you go on. I guess your real achievement should always be just to grow up a little, to be a little bit better, to be a little bit better than a couple of years ago. No, I wouldn't. And I respect discretion too much to be indiscreet. I guess it would be trying to remember myself in the morning when I open my eyes. Remember that it's me who's opening those eyes. Try to remember that I'm here now. And this way, try to have some more control of the rest of your day. Many days I don't get it, unfortunately, but I try to. I guess I would say New York. I'm not much of having idols. I'm not much of a mythoman guy or idolatric. There are many people I admire and people I have as reference, but I wouldn't say I consider anybody as an idol. Martin Scorsese. Since I said Scorsese, let's say Raging Bull. Dylan, the Kings, the band, the Creedence, Clearwater Revival, Shostakovich, John Williams, many of them, of course. A Confederacy of Dionysus by John Kennedy Toole. I'm afraid of everything I don't know everything about. You are always afraid of things you don't know. But actually the only way of trying to grow up a little is doing things that scare you. So you can cross certain limits, which guarantee you that you are going